The following is a paid advertisement from Big D.
Man, are y'all taking a shower like wussies? Or y'all taking a shower like men? Dr. Squatch. Good for your man meat. Made with all natural ingredients. Guess what? And it's from America, baby. Make America great again, baby.
This has been a paid advertisement from Big D.
Boys, it's time! It's time to start WrestleMania!
Hello and welcome back to DwreckTV. I'm Dwreck, and it's been a while since we've done another ranking video, so I'd say it's a good occasion to start this. Now, for the next few days, if everybody already knows, that WrestleMania 41 will be coming up on this weekend, actually, on the 20th and on the 19th and the 20th of this month, and it's also the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania as well. Even though we're going to WrestleMania 40, but oh well. But regardless, I've never really spoken much about WrestleMania at all on my channel, so I just thought, you know what? Since everybody else has their opinion about WrestleManias and everything, and what's the best WrestleMania ever, how would DwreckTV rank every WrestleMania? Well, for the next week, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through every one of WrestleManias, and I've watched each one of them for the last few months and such, and
what did I just put myself through?
My God. Was it a chore? Why did I put myself through stuff like this? I will never know, but it's all for the better of the channel. So, that being said, and y'all probably wondering, why do I have the NES back out here after I've just spent a freaking whole video talking about it? Well, in order for me to do all these WrestleManias, instead of doing like every one of them like each day or something, I'm gonna go by Nintendo eras. And with that being said is, for example, since the NES came out in October 85 and all the way up to the Super Nintendo in August 1991, the WrestleManias that came out during the NES's eras was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So, that being said, I'm going to divide the WrestleManias up by Nintendo eras. Now, that being said, WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I was actually born a month before WrestleMania 1, so there was no way I could have ever watched it, or let alone even remember it, and all things like that. Even though when I was younger, I watched a bunch of Ninja Turtles and the Real Ghostbusters and Mario Brothers Super Show, and watching pro wrestling was a very much of a rarity. I knew some guys, but the only times I ever watched pro wrestling was with like my friends and sometimes with my grandparents. But that being said, let's rank. How would DwreckTV rank the WrestleManias? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. And we're going to start off with the one that started it all. WrestleMania 1. WrestleMania 1, I watched this when I was like a teenager and such. And over the years, I've pretty much watched WrestleManias every once in a while, like every other year or so, just to give something to do and everything. But what WrestleMania 1 was, it started off as a big bet as to start like the host like a great, like one of the greatest cards to ever be put on, and that's what Vince McMahon did with WrestleMania, and it really paid off because it really, at this time, 1985, this was a big deal, especially having pro wrestling, especially someone like Hulk Hogan with the Hulkamania era and everything, and having celebrity personalities up in there with like Mr. T and Cyndi Lauper and Liberace and Muhammad Ali being the guest enforcer for the match and everything. And the whole thing was built around the war to settle the score with Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan because of their feud and everything. And then added in Mr. T from the A-Team. This was, for that time, it was a big deal, especially with MTV. It definitely fit with the MTV crowd and everything. And watching the show in its entirety, it's actually, for 1985, it was actually pretty entertaining to watch. All the matches were really good, from top to bottom. And the main event with Hogan teaming up with Mr. T to take on Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and with Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. in their corner and Jimmy Snuka in Hogan and T's corner, and especially having Muhammad Ali as the guest ring enforcer and everything. You talk about some star power in this, and it was actually really exciting. I'd say, and especially that in the Body Slam Challenge with Andre the Giant and Big John Studd, and even matches like with Junkyard Dog on it and Greg Valentine, and it was actually a good show. So where would DwreckTV rank WrestleMania 1? Well, with it being the very first one, I would put it at and I know a lot of people say like, man, you go back and watch WrestleMania, it freaking sucked, man. It freaking shut up. Don't expect the obvious when it comes to me, all right? I would put WrestleMania 1 at an A rank. Solid A rank. That's where I put it. Especially with it being the very first one, let that be the standard bearer. Next up, WrestleMania 1. What comes after that is WrestleMania 2 in 1986. This one was different. This one took place in not just one, but 3 locations. It took place from Uniondale, New York, Los Angeles, and Rosemount, Illinois. And the matches on this was actually pretty exciting, but some were like, alright. But the ones that really stand out the most is the boxing match with Roddy Piper and Mr. T, because he just couldn't get enough of Mr. T. And other ones was like wrestlers versus football players in a huge battle royal, and with the ring definitely had to be reinforced with that because that's like 2 tons of freaking humanity. And then the big main event between Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy in a steel cage. Hogan had his ribs messed up and everything, so going up against the freaking 6,000-pound King Kong Bundy in a steel cage was definitely a grueling battle of perseverance and integrity and fortitude. But throughout the whole match, it was all good and everything. And they definitely had some good ones as well, especially with the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs and all the other teams. And compared to WrestleMania 1, it was cool. It was cool seeing a whole bunch of the celebrities and everything, and everybody wants to talk about like, man, wrestling needs to stop making all these celebrities and everything, man. Like, shut up. They've been doing that since the early days, so I never heard anybody complaining about things like that. But it was actually pretty exciting. It was cool. Where would I put WrestleMania 2? Comparatively speaking to WrestleMania 1, I would say it's about even, but I don't know. Especially with it, like everybody wants to say like, oh, the WrestleMania 2 was like, it was just a mess, man, because it came from 3 locations and everything. I would put WrestleMania 2 at a solid B, like a high B. Not one of the best WrestleManias ever, but it was entertaining. I would watch it every once in a while. But it was entertaining. Speaking of entertaining, next up is WrestleMania 3. I do remember watching WrestleMania 3 from my grandfather because he used to have a videotape of it. I think it was the Coliseum video one, and he watched that every once in a while because he liked Hulk Hogan, he liked Andre the Giant, and everything. And this WrestleMania was definitely a big deal, especially with it being in the Pontiac Silverdome in front of 93,000 plus million billions of fans in there. It was freaking jam-packed. They was hanging from the rafters of the dome. They was swinging from the swings and hammocks from the rafters of that dome. That was freaking nuts. And the matches on this card were very exciting from top to bottom. Everything from the opening match to the main event with Hogan and Andre. This whole thing, like, I'd say the matches that definitely stood out the most was definitely, everybody wants to say Macho Man and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for the Intercontinental title. That was a good one. And definitely some other good ones, especially like Roddy Piper's match and Junkyard Dog and former NWA World Champion Harley Race. And my grandfather used to laugh. My grandfather would laugh his head off when referees getting nut bumped or the manager's getting bumped and everything. He would laugh his head off. Especially with Jimmy Hart, like, getting bumped and everything, like freaking falling all over the place, and then get trapped with the snake and everything with Jake the Snake. He laughed his head off. And especially with when Nikolai Volkov was singing the Russian national anthem, and then you see Hacksaw Jim Duggan just haul ass to the ring. My grandfather laughed his head off at that. It was freaking hilarious. Like, I don't know what he saw in that, but he thought that was like the funniest thing. And the match between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, especially with this being, it was a huge deal. With Andre being like one of the biggest stars in the pro wrestling at that time, and Hogan being the biggest star at that time. I like freaking Hogan. I got no problem with Hulk Hogan. But definitely WrestleMania 3 shattered all records. It shattered the excitement from WrestleMania 1 and 2. It is absolutely 100% S rank. Definite S rank. Everybody wants to say that the match wasn't great. Like, even though they didn't do too many like wrestling moves, this match was exciting because of the fact that this was Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, the two of the biggest stars. They could have just had like headlocks like the whole thing. It's just the excitement of it was really good, and the drama of it. That's what it's really all about. Next up, I don't want to give too long-winded on this. Next up is WrestleMania 4. This one was an interesting one. It just seemed like each WrestleMania just had a different thing to it. Much like how WrestleMania 1 had like all the celebrities and the war to settle the score. WrestleMania 2 came from 3 locations, and then WrestleMania 3 had the biggest box office hit with Hogan and Andre. This one was different and pretty interesting as well because it was a one-night tournament. It was a 14-man tournament to determine a new World Wrestling Federation champion, because controversy arose between Hogan and Andre like about a month prior, where Andre defeated Hulk Hogan after he held it for like almost 4 straight years. He beat Hogan with the help of the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. DiBiase tried buying the belt from him. And then management stepped in, stripped him of the belt, and to say, you know what, for WrestleMania, we're going to have a 14-man tournament, and the winner of the whole thing will become the new World Wrestling Federation champion. And this match, a lot of people don't really talk about this WrestleMania because they want to say, like, it wasn't that good, man. It was just a tournament, man. Shut up. But I actually like tournaments. and because you want to see like who's gonna win, who's gonna like it gives you that speculation and that intrigue of like who's gonna win this thing. And throughout the whole night, the tournament commenced and everything. They had some really cool matches. Some matches were better than others, and especially the rematch with Hogan and Andre in like a round 2 match, but to where both men didn't win. So it was like, but that was a thing of like, whoa, like Hogan's not gonna win, Andre's not gonna win, so who's gonna win this thing? And then the finals turned out to be between Macho Man Randy Savage and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, in which Macho Man wound up winning the whole thing, especially with the help of Hogan, because Andre and Virgil were all around the ring and everything. So Hogan came out to save Macho Man. That formed the Mega Powers. As with Andre and $1 Million Man, they formed the Mega Bucks. But me personally, where would I rank WrestleMania 4 amongst 1, 2, and 3? After watching the whole thing, between the tournament matches and all the other matches that came out in between it, it really was exciting, especially being in 1988. Didn't watch it, but I did watch it on VHS, and it was really enjoyable. I got no problems with this WrestleMania. I would give it I'd put it at an A rank. Not as like box office smash like WrestleMania 3 was, but it was enjoyable nonetheless. Next up is, oh boy, this one right here. WrestleMania 5.
The Mega Powers explode for WrestleMania 5.
This one was the Mega Powers explode between Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. This one took place in 1989. Didn't watch it, but I do remember seeing like commercials and my friends like talk about it, and sometimes they would have it on for like a little bit. But this WrestleMania was very much in the height of the whole Hulk Hogan and the Hulkamania era. This was like a fever pitch. This WrestleMania just felt like an explosion was about to happen at the end. Throughout the whole night. And all the matches were great. Most of them were alright, but definitely it was an exciting time. 1989, like the late 90s going into 1990, was absolutely an exciting time. Whether you had to be there. If you weren't born during that time, this is one of the things where it's like you had to be there to feel the excitement. But where would I rank WrestleMania 5? Especially with the match between Hogan and Savage. This would have been an S rank, but freaking one of the things that I really don't like about WrestleMania, especially after I watched all the WrestleManias and everything, I gotta tell you, what sets a lot of these up, like just set me off on these things, is the commentary. Heel commentators, I freaking hate them. Especially with Jesse Ventura. I do like Jesse Ventura, but I can't stand him because I don't like heel commentators. I can't stand Bobby Heenan. I can't stand Jerry Lawler, or even like a lot of the other ones that they make the show unbearable. And the one thing that kept this WrestleMania from being an S rank was Jesse Ventura just arguing with Gorilla Monsoon in this and such. But I would put WrestleMania at an A rank simply because Jesse Ventura just wouldn't shut the hell up. But if it wasn't for that, that'd definitely be an S rank. Abso-freaking-lute. Next up, oh man, Manias is just walking around. This WrestleMania 6,
The Ultimate Challenge between Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior for the World Wrestling Federation Championship and the Intercontinental Championship, belt for belt. It's the Ultimate Challenge.
WrestleMania 6, I would have to say, is one of the most exciting WrestleManias ever. Probably one of the best WrestleManias ever. I will put WrestleMania 6. And the reason why I say that is because I was, let's see, 1990, I was 5 years old, yep. And I remember hearing about the whole Ultimate Challenge and everything. I didn't watch it live, of course not, but, and just rewatching it, and then rewatching it, and just that feeling, like, if I watched this when I was 5 years old, I would have freaking loved this. Between Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, and all the other, and everybody else on it, like the Big Boss Man and Mr. Perfect and the Hart Foundation. Especially with it being a Sky Dome, this felt like a huge deal throughout the entire night. Everything from the opening matches, the mid matches, all the way up, leading up to the main event with Hogan and Warrior. This was a big deal. Two of the biggest stars during that era. Both champions in the main event. Even though Warrior won and Hogan lost, it was like, why the hell? But that's what made it such a big deal, because Hogan was throwing such a big role during this time, and him getting beat at WrestleMania was a big deal, and then that just made him be like he went to immortality during that night, especially with both of them solidified themselves as immortality and everything. So where WrestleMania 6 is absolutely a freaking S rank. It was a big deal. The whole night during this time and everything, especially with Ninja Turtles. The first Ninja Turtles movie came out during this like a week before, so this was a huge deal between this Ninja Turtles and everything. WrestleMania 6 is the quintessential WrestleMania. Like, everything from top to bottom, the excitement of it. This is what WrestleMania is all about. And then we're going to cap things off with WrestleMania 7. This one was in the height of the Gulf War with Operation Desert Storm. And then Sergeant Slaughter becoming a synthesizer for the Iraqis and everything, and Hogan coming back to be the American hero. This WrestleMania just felt kind of it could have been like a Saturday night main event, but with it being WrestleMania, especially just with everything that happened, that was going on during this time, especially with the Persian Gulf War and everything, it felt like didn't really feel like the excitement of like WrestleMania 6 and everything, but it was still enjoyable. The matches that stood out the most, especially with Hogan and Slaughter, that was grueling. Like, grueling throughout the entire match. Another one that was grueling was the retirement matches between the Warrior and Macho Man, and then Macho Man reuniting with Miss Elizabeth after 2 years, and all the other matches with like Mr. Perfect and Big Boss Man and the Nasty Boys. Freaking Nasty Boys. This was not one of the best WrestleManias, but it was still enjoyable. The opening match was really good, especially hearing Hacksaw Jim Duggan on commentary was a breath of fresh air. Like, and then all of a sudden Bobby Heenan joins the commentary, and it's like, everybody can say what y'all will, but I'm not saying nothing bad about Bobby the Brain Heenan. He is a great heel manager and everything, but just trying to enjoy the show and hearing him and Gorilla Monsoon just argue amongst each other is stupid, man. I can't stand heel commentators. So, with that being said, where would I rank WrestleMania 7? Not one of the best WrestleManias, but it's definitely not one of the worst either. They had some really good matches, especially with Macho Man and the Ultimate Warrior, and Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter. I would put it at a low A. Simply because, like I said, it wasn't the best, but it definitely was not the worst. I've seen the worst. This is nowhere near the worst of the WrestleManias. So there you have it. that's WrestleMania 1 through 7 up on the boards. So, that being said, stay tuned for tomorrow as I go through the Super Nintendo era of WrestleManias. So, this is Dwreck signing out. See y'all on the flip side.
DwreckTV. Hi guys, hit the notification bell and the like button. Yeah.